First question for you. How does it feel? You're obviously going to be sworn in later tonight. Just in general, how does it feel, becoming a school trustee?
So I am extremely gratified by the voters and the fact that the voters have made this opportunity for me. I am really excited. Obviously, I, have an agenda like every other trustee that gets sworn in. And so I'm super excited about that.
Absolutely, absolutely. With your past experience, in this case, you being part of the ESEA, how do you think you'll try to use that experience to, kind of, play into, your duties as a school trustee?
It's interesting. A lot of people play that up, but I've actually been the assistant executive director for the Nevada State Education Association for 5 years. And I had only been the executive director of ESEA for 6 months. So I feel that I'll bring my NSEA experience forward. That's working with both teachers and support professionals and administrators in their goals, because I know that their working conditions are the students' learning conditions. So, and I am truly there to make sure that the students get the education that they deserve.
Absolutely. Now, obviously, once you get sworn in, you're going to have your first board meeting on January 14th. What's your outlook for at least the rest of the year, as far as, what's to come?
So right now, I'm not sure what's to come, right? We had the federal stimulus package, and I'm waiting to see how that assists education. And, this is a wait and see. I get sworn in tonight, and then we have a work session on Wednesday, and we'll see what ends up on the board agenda. Obviously, I'll have some say in that, but it all depends on what exactly is happening within the state. The legislative session is actually going to probably dictate what ends up on our agenda.
Of course, of course. That now that you're going to be by the end of tonight going to be sworn in as a trustee. What are two things you'd like to accomplish? While you're serving.
So the first thing I'd like to accomplish is a safe way for students to go back to school. And not really go back to school, because that's really a misnomer, but to go back into the buildings. I'd like to find a safe way for students to go back into the buildings and assist in mapping that out. The second thing is communication. I really think that communication within the district has caused us to have real issues, specifically around the closure. I mean, the way that the closure was communicated has stressed out our students, our staff, and our parents. And so I feel like if I can improve that, I can improve education in the Clark County School District.
Of course, of course. Something I'll be asking all of the trustees, just in general. Obviously, there's a lot of work and discussions to be had, going up until January 14th, especially with CCA and CCSD coming to that agreement. But just in general, what's your thoughts about getting some sort of concrete, school reopening plan? I think you mentioned that a little bit earlier, but just some sort of concrete school reopening plan to get kids back physically inside the buildings.
So I'm on a wait and see right now, because under 288, NRS 288, we have to know the impact and effects on all the bargaining units. CCEA is not the only bargaining unit within CCSD. So I feel like that's a wait and see kind of thing. I want to see what they have, what their thought process is, because they have direct impact on student learning. So I want to know. So that's pretty much where I will be. I also want to see what the district is going to share with us, obviously, right? But I also have in my mind some thoughts on what direction to go, and I don't want to walk into a meeting already making a decision, because that's the wrong way to walk into a meeting. I want to hear everybody. I want to know all sides and try to help make the best decision possible for the kids.
Absolutely, absolutely. Obviously, you're coming into the becoming a trustee at a very challenging time just for education in general for CCSD with the distance learning and everything like that. For many, it's been a struggle, one way or another. How do you think you can at least make some sort of effect while on the school board in terms of, I guess, kind of trying to mitigate or address some of the issues that we've seen with distance learning and the pandemic in general in regards to CCSD?
So I think the issue that we've had with distance learning is that CCSD did their best to prepare with the timeline that was given, supposedly, right? But now that we're in it and the educators actually know what goes into distance learning and the parents are aware and they are able to assist. And then CCSD passed, the board passed a thing for a panoramic, and so to assist with mental health. And so there are lots of different pieces that are going into distance learning and helping students get through distance learning. I know that there are lots of folks that are wanting to keep with certain timelines. For example, Biden says we'll be back in school within the first 100 days, right? I'd like to see what the district has planned to do that. How are we going to get vaccinations in the arms of educators? What are we doing, right? So there's a lot of things that are up in the air that I don't know. So I can't really tell you specifically because I haven't been told all of the moving pieces. It's a puzzle when you look at it, and everyone's trying to put their own piece into the puzzle. But in order for the puzzle to completely come together, we have to work together to figure it all out. Over Christmas, we do puzzles, and I actually look at things through that kind of a lens, and how are those pieces going to fit? So I think that's kind of where I am.
Of course. And last few questions, are you looking forward to work with your fellow trustees? Because you're not obviously not going to be the only one on the board. Are you looking forward to that?
Sure, I'm absolutely looking forward to it. I'm looking forward to new leadership. I'm looking forward to having conversations that are great conversations based on balanced governance. And so, yeah, absolutely. I think every person on that board has an interesting perspective that they bring. And hearing their different perspectives, because I live in my own bubble, and everybody does right now, but I truly live in my own education bubble, and to hear their outside perspective is really, it's very rich and important, and something that everyone needs to be able to hear, right? And use it as their decision-making process.
Of course. And lastly, is there anything else you want to add on top of everything else you said, regarding, now becoming a CCSD trustee?
So really, the only thing that I want to add is that I am truly grateful to be in this position, and I know that it's going to be tough. And the only way that we're going to make it through this interesting time is if there's clear communication, and people can still communicate with me through my website. And they can also communicate with me now through the CCSD website. So I think that if I know what my constituents are wanting or needing or thinking, I think that would help me in my decision making.